David here with Figboot on pens. Today I have for you the latest release from Visconti. Visconti does a really good job of coming out with a variety of new and unique designs, experimenting with different combinations of materials. They are not afraid to try something different. The new model I have to show you today does have some unique features, and that model is the Visconti Dual Touch. What I'm going to do today is go over the parts and features of the Dual Touch. I'll talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Coles of London, the US distributor for Visconti, for providing these pens on loan for review. I say pens because the Dual Touch comes in 3 different versions, and I have one of each to show you today. The pen arrives in this standard Visconti box. I do like the looks of this box more than the older box. They changed designs maybe a year or so ago. Now, who knows? Maybe it was longer. The passage of time has seemed a little warped lately. It's all like we've had about 2 years vaporize in front of our eyes. Inside, there is a little marketing booklet showing a number of Visconti offerings. And then we have the pen. This is the Visconti Dual Touch. Now, the pen comes in 3 different varieties. This model I have here is the Cognac. Here is a nice picture of it here. And then there is the black. And then there is the camouflage. They make for a nice set. These pens are brass with rose gold appointments. The cap and section and piston knob on the Cognac is a brushed satin champagne. On the black, it is more of a muted black. I wouldn't call it matte, but it's not high gloss either. Then on the camouflage, it is a rose gold. The distinguishing feature of the Dual Touch is the leather-wrapped barrels. For the Cognac here, it is the brown with some textured color variation. For the black, it is again textured, but has more of a consistent coloration. And then on the camouflage, there is the color variation on the texture, but then there's also some swaths of lighter green. I wouldn't categorize this as something like full military camouflage. Okay, that's it for the promotional pictures. I try not to use things like that. I prefer to take pictures myself, but I thought those pictures showed off the pens a bit better and more accurate than I could pull off with my mediocre photography skills. Of the 3, this Cognac is my personal favorite, so I'll use this one to go over the parts and features of the Dual Touch. The pen is in the standard mold of Visconti's Homo sapiens lineup. Let's begin with the top of the cap. This, as well as most Visconti models, are adorned with the Visconti V logo and utilize their My Pen system. This end piece is held on via a magnet, and you can purchase other inserts that have things like your initials or birthstones and things like that. That transitions into the traditional Visconti clip, fashioned after the Ponte Vecchio Bridge in Florence, Italy, which was built back in 1345. It's the oldest bridge in Florence still in existence. The cap has these dual rose gold bands. Not only are they visually attractive in my opinion, but they're also utilitarian. While I love the Visconti clip, they can be a bit polarizing. In order to utilize the clip, you can't just slide it into a pocket or sleeve. You need to interact with the hinged clip. And the easiest way to do so is to place your thumb and forefinger on either side of the clip right on the rings and then simply pinch. And that act of pinching will extend the clip enough to utilize it. It might feel a little bit odd at first, but it quickly becomes a natural motion. It's unique. Now, there is bothersome unique and interesting unique. I personally feel this is interesting unique. I do like the brushed satin of the exposed metal on this model. I think it looks really classy. At the end of the cap, there is a medium-sized step down to the barrel, which begins with a rose gold band. On the band, it is engraved with Homo sapiens, and then transitions into the barrel, which, as you saw previously, is wrapped in a textured leather. It is Italian palmolato leather, which is soft and luxurious, but also very durable. The leather is coated with a protective treatment in order to prevent any staining or scratching or discoloration from contact with your hand. Many high-end fashion houses use Palmolato leathers for products such as handbags. The key thing for me when it comes to leather wrapping like this is the seam. How does it look? How comfortable is it? The placement of this seam is on the bottom of the barrel when the pen is in the writing position, which is aesthetically the best place for it. But it also means that when you're using the pen, the seam is rubbing up against your hand. While in a perfect world, there'd be no seams at all, but that's not possible. So it has to be somewhere. It's not too bad against the hand. I really don't feel the seam. It's more of the threads used to bind the ends together. While this leather is very durable, the weak link might be the actual thread. With it rubbing up against your hand and the oils in your hand, I'm not certain over the years what effect that will have on the thread itself. It might be perfectly fine, I don't know. That would need to be done as a test over years of use. All I'm saying is that in my guess is that the thread could potentially wear before the leather. But that is very much a long-term issue, if it's an issue at all. The barrel tapers down slightly, and then at the end is a piston knob, and the end of that knob is rounded. The pen utilizes a magnetic cap closure. I will say it's not the strongest of magnets. It doesn't take too much effort to remove the cap, but I haven't had any issues with the cap inadvertently coming off. I will say that the magnet on this cap is well protected. What I mean by that is if you put these pens next to one another or put them next to another metal pen, I've seen it on other pens where the pens will be attracted to the magnet, which could be a bit of an annoyance. But I don't find that to be the case with this pen. The magnet used on the top of the cap for the My Pen system demonstrates a little bit of attraction, but nothing which you would need to be overly careful of. Once you have removed the cap, underneath is an 18-karat rose gold nib. I think this nib looks really sharp. It is available in extra fine, fine, medium, broad, as well as a stub. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section isn't overly long. It is metal and slightly concave. It has an elongated step up to the remainder of the barrel. When gripping the pen, my grip tends to spill over that angled transition, but the angle makes it very comfortable in the hand. The pen feels very substantive in the hand. It feels very solid and very well made. It feels like quality in your hand, but it's not overly heavy. The cap does post. But it doesn't post that deeply, and the cap is fairly heavy. I feel posting adds a bit of unwieldy length to the pen and really backweights things a bit, so I prefer to use this pen unposted. This pen does utilize Visconti's power filling system, which is what they call their vacuum filling system, and I find it works very well and holds a significant amount of ink. Would it have been nice to have an ink window to see your ink situation? Yes, but aesthetically, I'm not sure where you would actually put it in this design. I feel having a clear band, like on some of the other Homo sapien models, would detract from the overall look of this pen. So leaving it off was a good choice, in my opinion. The Visconti Dual Touch is available at a wide variety of retailers and sells for $1,495. At authorized Visconti dealers, you will find it for 20% less, which comes out to just under $1,200. For what you receive with this pen, the quality of the materials, the build quality, and the overall performance, that price is not out of line for a pen in the Visconti line. This is a luxury pen, and it comes at a luxury price, but I don't feel that what they're asking for this model is unreasonable when taking all of that into consideration. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, where I'll give you a closer look at the other two versions of this pen and provide a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Visconti Dual Touch. To begin with, I wanted to give you a closer look at some of the other models. This one here is the black, and as you can see, it's kind of a muted matte black with a nice black textured leather there. And then that's what it looks like in comparison to the cognac. Again, I really like that brushed metal look here, and the cognac leather is very, very beautiful. And then here it is with the camouflage. And you can see the camouflage has more of a rose gold cap. And then the camouflage itself is a bit camouflagey, but not necessarily overly so. I don't necessarily look at this pen and I don't think it screams military or something like that. I just think it looks like some nice textured leather. But that's what all three of those look like together. Now, in regard to a couple of other Visconti pens, here it is with a Wall Street. Then here it is with a Homo sapiens Magma. And then finally, here it is with a Divina Desert Springs. I've always really loved this model. It just has some nice curvature to it, and I think that this material is amazing as well. In regard to some non-Visconti pens, here it is with a Sailor King of Pen in Royal Tangerine, a Pelikan M1000, and then a brand new pen from SD DuPont that I'll be reviewing here in the very near future, which is the Starburst, which has some interesting texture here on the barrel. And that's what it looks like in comparison to the Dual Touch. In regard to uncapped comparisons, this is what it looks like with the Divina. Then here it is with the Sailor King of Pen. And here it is with the Pelikan M1000. Here we go with the writing sample for the Visconti Dual Touch. This is a broad 18 karat gold nib, and the ink that I'm using today is Visconti Sepia. This is what the ink looks like. It's a nice solid brown with some decent amount of shading to it. This is what it looks like in comparison to Faber-Castell's Hazelnut Brown, which is another one of my favorite browns, as well as Montblanc Toffee Brown. Toffee Brown seems like it's a little bit more on the red side. This is what the Visconti ink bottle looks like. This is one of my favorite ink bottle designs, just because I think it looks cool. And then I like the way it filters the ink down to a narrow portion here at the bottom. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. I do find this 18 karat gold nib to be very nice. It is fairly smooth. You're going to get a decent amount of line variation out of here. It's decently smooth, but still has a little bit of feedback to it. We'll call it good feedback with decent ink flow. In regard to reverse writing, it's fairly smooth. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. And then just as a comparison, this black model here is fitted with an extra fine nib. So let's just take a look at what the extra fine nib looks like. I like this extra fine nib a great deal. I do have one of Visconti's extra fines on one of my other Viscontis, and I do enjoy it. That I find that it isn't overly scratchy. It's still fairly smooth and lays down a really nice line. So here we have the Visconti Dual Touch. As I mentioned right off the top, that Visconti is not afraid to bring something new to the table, and I think that they brought something new to the table with these pens and then executed on that design very well. Okay, until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.